Hi, this is Stacey Hyde, and I'm back for another episode of Better Financial Health in 15 minutes or less. And today I'd like to talk about financial planning, or really estate planning. That means your legal documents, your wills, any trust you might have, powers of attorney, healthcare powers of attorney, particularly if you are part of a blended family, or maybe your parents are part of a blended family. Meaning that your mom or dad is married to somebody else's mom or dad, particularly if the families joined together when everyone was already adults. So the kids didn't really grow up together, later in life type union. And it's important if you're part of that, because traditional estate planning, or what is most common, is husband leaves everything to the wife, because women tend to outlive men historically, and then upon passing, everything goes to the kids. Well, that sounds well and good, but what can happen in the case of a blended family is that the surviving spouse could cut out the children from the deceased spouse. And so that, obviously, as you can imagine, can wreak all sorts of havoc. You also can run into issues, particularly if the surviving spouse is close in age to the children. And so what you may want to do, if this is your situation, is definitely meet with an attorney and discuss what each spouse feels like they want to do for their particular children. Sometimes families will come in and maybe there's a prenup, and then that solves a lot of the issues. But if there's not, oftentimes there will be an agreement that, well, what we had before will go to our respective kids. If that's in a 401k plan through your employer, you will have to do a special beneficiary designation, get that witnessed by a notary public or plan administrator in order to not leave that retirement plan to your spouse. But do that. There could be an issue with a home, assets that are coming from that. Say the wife's parents left her money and they want that to only go to her children, then that needs to be set up in a separate trust and that flow through that way. But for everything else, it may be that some money passes to all the kids upon the first spouse to pass, and then it's in what's called a QTIP trust, Qualified Terminal Interest Trust. And what that does is it says that the surviving spouse gets assets for health, maintenance, welfare support, but on their passing, on that second spouse to pass away, it goes out according to what the first person to pass away set up. So it usually means that assets are passed equally, or whatever was agreed upon by the spouses, so that there's not any surprises there. The key thing is just to make sure that it's set up, because we've seen some issues, and we've certainly read about others, where people thought that they knew what was going to happen, and then things did not go as intended. And so going ahead and having these discussions with your spouse, or if you're the child, maybe ask your parents about it, what the plan is there, and encourage them to meet with their attorney and lay it out, so that what they think and expect will happen is actually reflected in the documents, so that there are no surprises later. Because this is certainly an area where having the documents laid out, having everything discussed ahead of time, can save so many problems later on. It can save, everybody hiring attorneys, and then, sort of like a divorce gone wrong, an estate gone wrong can also cost thousands upon thousands of dollars, where people are fighting each other, when if they had just spent a couple of $1,000s, or maybe even 10, with a qualified estate attorney, to lay it all out on the front end and to make sure that beneficiaries' designations reflect what the documents say, that the accounts are titled in the right way so that they will ultimately pass the way everyone wanted them to. And realistically, as children of adults, we are not necessarily entitled to anything. Our parents can leave their assets to whomever they want, and sometimes we have to remember that. Now, if there's a case where you feel like there's they're being manipulated or there's elder abuse or something like that, that's a totally different situation. But if a parent wants to treat all kids equally, I think you do have to respect their opinion. Those are their assets. But I think it's good to have these to be so that everybody's on the same page. And parents, I think it's important to talk to your children about what your plans are and how you came up to those decisions, because I think it will save a lot of bad feelings later on. So thanks for tuning in. Just some food for thought. Maybe you'll pull out your documents, look to see what they actually say, and hopefully maybe meet with your advisors, your financial planner, and just say, hey, this is what I think it says. Would you read it and tell me what it says? Can really be helpful there. So thanks for tuning in. This has been another episode of Better Financial Health in 15 Minutes or Less.